Welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place, everyone. Hey, do you remember the Jaguar X-Type? A little bit of a flop, there was mechanical problems, the styling was okay, but it really didn't quite hit the mark for the brand and unfortunately fell its sorry fate. Well, here we have the latest and greatest entry-level Jaguar, the XE 30T. This proves that you can now afford a wonderful driving performance luxury Euro sedan that doesn't necessarily break the bank, it doesn't require a third mortgage, but it still has all the latest technology that you could hope for in a modern performance car. Let's do a quick walk around, we'll talk about some of the specifications, and we'll summarize why this car could in fact be a great alternative to the Alfa Romeo Giulia or the BMW 330i. Let's get into it now. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place. And so let's start by looking at the exterior styling pieces. Here you have the modern styling bits that's consistent with a lot of the other Jaguars in the market. Of course, you've got that open big mouth grille. You've got some of this great accents. You'll notice you've got the piano black finish here, and you've got HID headlights surrounded by that J-form LED right here. Beautiful thing. On the side, you've got this classic Jaguars logo here. You'll find this on a lot of their modern cars, and you'll notice this one is the F Sport, suggesting it's a step up. This car actually is fitted with the 18-inch alloys, gunmetal gray, beautiful look. Touches like this beautiful little spoiler suggest this is a sporting experience, which it actually is. You'll notice it's the XE model and it's the 30T. Also, you've got dual exhaust, which gives it that extra sporting look from the rear as well. And as well, because it's a Jaguar, why would you skimp anywhere else? You've got the panoramic size glass on top, which pops up and slides back, giving the driver and the passenger full view to the wonderful sky above. So let's slide right into the cockpit here. Now, as I look around, I can't help but feel that the quality is very, very good. Now, it doesn't have the upper end feel so much, but there's still enough quality plastics throughout to make it feel, you know, moderately decently fitted. Now, of course, you've got leather seats. You'll notice they're perforated, meaning they're heated and cooled. You've got little cubby holes with all your plugins here for your accessories. Dual cup holders, which you can slide back, and you've got your wonderful piano black gloss finishing here throughout the entire central area of this console. Now, of course, you've got traditional Jaguar controls. You've got your display controls over here, and you've got your cruise control over here typically. In this particular model, you'll find it's fitted a lot different than for other models, for example, like you have with the F-Type and so on. Here you've got a little bit of a cove feeling to it. This sort of wraps around, and down here you've got your window controls, and at the very bottom you've got your seat controls for the programs. Now, the actual seat controls themselves, the adjustments, are on the side of the seats, which makes it a little bit of a challenge, and this is a manually adjusted headrest versus some of the upper scale versions. Now, looking around, I can't help but think there's things in this that make it feel more upscale than cars, for example, in the same segment, like the BMW 330 is a great car now. Of course, by BMW, they've revised it. It's got a digital dash. It's got a much cleaner interior. And a lot of the tech now is carried through in this newest generation 3 and 4 Series cars in the BMW world. Well, this is a direct competitor to the 330i, which is the turbo 4-cylinder by BMW. This car also has a digital display. This car also has a turbo 4-cylinder engine, but this car produces 300 horsepower, or specifically 296 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. This car comes in all-wheel drive, as does the xDrive 330i BMW. The Alfa Romeo Giulia is another great option, as is the Genesis G70. Also great options. Now, the Mercedes C-Class, a little bit pricier, but a very, very similar competition in this particular segment. It's partially updated, but not necessarily full on. You have to pay a lot more money to get that level of finish. But the finishing is very nice in here. You've got leather seats with contrasting stitching. It's a beautiful place. It feels very comfortable and luxurious. You've got the latest touchscreen here by Jaguar. It's a beautiful look. If you go 2 years previous, you'll find that it actually had the buttons on the side and a much smaller display, but it works very nice. Now, there's a few features in here that look very interesting I might have to show you that kind of makes it a little bit stand out from the conventional German products that you'd find in the 330, for example. So the front seating space is quite adequate, but as you move around to the back, you'll notice it's actually quite tight, and there is quite a blind spot in that area. Looking back, to back up, you'll find yourself often a little bit blinded and very difficult to see out of that area. Other than that, the back seating space is a little bit light, not quite as spacious as what you'd find in, say, the BMW 330 as an example. But either way, it's still very luxurious, relatively spacious, certainly on the front. Now looking around, and you always wonder what the quality of fit and finish is in a Jaguar, and obviously that's been a concern. Well, they have stepped up and they've provided a little better warranty period. Now, of course, the modern Jags are 5 years, 60,000 miles, which gives you a little bit more peace of mind. I still question though whether you're talking about quality control is under control. When you look, for example, I'll show you right here. Look at that space right there. You notice the door seam to the dash. You'll notice in that case, the door is higher than the dash. But as we pan around here, and we look on this side, and you'll notice the door is lower than the dash. So the seams don't totally line up from one side to the other. A little bit of a question on the overall build quality, yet they are backing the car overall with a better warranty than they traditionally have as well. That's a bit of a peace of mind. Now let's just focus a little bit on the controls here. A lot of the controls that you'll normally find in this space is no longer there. For example, this gets you to the heated seat controls, but this doesn't actually operate your heated seats. You actually have to go into this system. So you'll hit that, and then it'll bring you up to the seat controls. You can turn on your controls either side there, but again, a lot of it is done through your new display here. As well, this normally hides its flush, but when you turn the car on, hit start, that pops up now. So kind of out of sight, out of mind. I gotta wonder if you get debris in there, eventually that'll cause this thing to hang up, but it is a nice thing to use. Very nice control, properly weighted, and it's nicely knurled with a rubber finish. So it's a very nice finish, no doubt about it. The controls, the buttons are all relatively good quality feel. There's certainly no lacking in quality arrangement here. Everything feels top shelf. Now moving up here, you'll also notice the car has a heads-up display, and because it's an 8-speed automatic, like most other cars in the segment now, functioning via paddle shifters as well. This is a functionality that you can operate. You'll notice there's different modes here. You've got normal mode, eco mode, as well as a sport mode, or they call it dynamic mode in the Jaguar industry. As well, you can turn off the auto shut off, and traction control you can disable altogether. Here's pretty standard routine controls. Although you've got a heated windshield, comes with the cold package as well as the heated seats, and as the heated steering wheel comes with as well. Now again, the digital dash now is a relatively new thing for Jaguar, and it's a beautiful thing, but this is configurable. If you go dynamic, it goes red. If you go into the eco mode, it goes another color yet. Again, looking around, you've got the Meridian audio system in here, which is reasonable, although it doesn't belt out like some of the better systems like Bose and that. It is fine, but not the best on the market. You've got all your window controls here as well. And again, as I said, your presets down here. And down on the side is where you actually move the seat. Front and back, just like that. Now you'll notice on the steering wheel as well, this is an R Sport version. Of course, not a true R model, but nonetheless, it's a great car altogether. Okay, so driving along, these cars are absolutely great to drive. They feel very tight and taut and the whole 9 yards. Yes, there's a few ways to drive it. You can just drive it in granny mode, basically throw it in drive, cruise along, almost go to sleep, but not quite because that would be dangerous. So you can either do that, or you can pull the gears. Now, of course, it's an 8-speed automatic, so we're driving along in D mode, and I can pull a gear, and now all of a sudden it selects a gear, and I can start downshifting. So I can start shifting with the paddle shifters, down, 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 find the right gear. And accelerate, and you can keep shifting up, up, down, okay? That's great. Another option, of course, is if you look down here, you can actually tweak this. Right now, you can see I'm in D mode. Push that, turn it, now you're in sport. Sport mode now, of course, dynamic gives you the red gauges, but sport mode locks your gears in. Now you'll see I'm in 5th gear and locked right there. And so we're gonna start off, we're in dynamic mode, and it's gonna give us better shifts. And we've also selected sport, so it's gonna lock in the gear. Now we're gonna accelerate, pull the gears. Very, very quick. Very nice, very nice. When they tell you 0 to 60 miles per hour, expected is about 5.4 seconds. I didn't time it, but I have little to doubt that that's making those sorts of numbers. The car picks up speed very briskly, comes on very strong, and the paddle shifters respond very nicely. Not quite as quick as you're getting from some of the better versions, like you get in the F-Type R, uses an 8-speed ZF Auto, but it's tuned to be very, very quick. This doesn't shift quite as aggressively, but it still does a great job. It feels very engaging to drive. The whole car delivers the package, and honestly, it feels a lot like the last 330 that I drove the BMW world. It feels a lot like that. It definitely has a little bit more urgency than you're getting from the Benz with the C300. It's that car's down on some power. Same with the A4. Even though it recently got a bump in power with the upper scale version of that 2-liter turbo engine, it's still not quite the same. So it drives very, very nice. And honestly, the whole driving dynamic is tight, quick, punchy, but it's easy to live with. It's not harsh on the bumps. Again, when I compare it to, say, one of the big brothers, the Jaguar F-Type R, it's almost punishing. You hit the bumps and it's punishing. It hurts on the back. You can hear the car just banging on the bumps. This car just is very compliant, eats up the bumps, gobbles them up like a little brat on Halloween. So it's a really, really nice car to drive every single day. You can have a little fun with it, but you can just put it back down in drive mode if you just want to cruise along and get the little kidlings off to school. So again, as I said in the beginning, during a cash-strapped economy or the world crisis that we're faced upon right now, a lot of people don't necessarily have full expendable cash. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to settle for a bicycle. Some people still need that internal combustion engine. They need that transportation to get themselves to work and back, get the kids to school, or what have you. So this is a great way to exploit the concept of luxury driving, but for the same price as an upscale Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry. Doesn't mean you have to be, kind of slumming it, if you will. It doesn't mean you have to be doing the total responsible thing. I mean, after all, why not still have a little bit of fun? After all, life's way too short to drive boring cars. Thanks a lot, everybody. And if you want to see another great review right there, Jaguar F-Type, you'll want to check that out, because if you want to step it up to the next level, that's the car for you. Hope to see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.